Welcome everyone to week 3 of The Magic Happens. We have an exciting topic today, how we create our circumstances. I think you may agree with me that that will be important information. I'd like to introduce us first, in case you haven't been with us before. I'm Kathy Goggin. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I love people really fulfilling on their dreams and being all they could be. And I've been very fortunate to have met Means Davis, a transformational coach, and have worked with him over the past couple of years. And he has so helped me on my journey, really just helped me grow in so many different ways that I wanted to share with the world. So Means, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm that. I'll take that. That's good. I like that. So my name is Means Davis. I'm the founder of Empowered Enterprises International. And for the past 30 years or so, I have had the honor and privilege of working with individuals and organizations to have them bring their dreams, their vision into reality. I'm passionate about that sparkle in the eye when somebody actually gets that they can live their dreams. It's incredible. There's a lot more about me on my website. Go see the website if you want to read more. If you want to read my history, there's a history. If you want to see my programs, there's programs. But basically, all you really want to know about me today is that, I have been for the past 20 years working with people on how do we create the circumstances that we want in our life? How do we shift our focus so that we actually have those circumstances that light us up, that have us be fulfilled, and joyous as we live our life. So I'm really excited about the program today because it was really interesting to be able to break it down into a process rather than it having being somebody tell you, oh, you create your circumstances, go create your circumstances.
Yes.
Right. And well, that's what we do. It really doesn't help much for me just to say, okay, so you create your circumstances, go create the ones you want.
Right. How do you start that process? That's the question that everyone asks. How do you start that process?
Yes. How do you start the process? How do you do the middle of the process? And please let us get to the end of the process so that we can actually have those circumstances.
Yes.
So I'm going to just jump right in, okay?
Definitely.
Anything, right? Just in case you wanted to say something, here's your opportunity. But jump right in. The first, how we create our circumstances is really through awareness, okay? We perceive through our senses, all right? So our senses are giving us a constant inflow of perceptions. We see things, we hear things, we taste things, we feel things. Our senses are constantly giving us information, okay? And our mind interprets those perceptions. So it matches it up to our past experience, our knowledge, our education, our judgments, that information that we've stored in the past. At the minimum, that interpretation is something like, I like it or I don't like it. At the maximum, it's like a full Tolstoy novel, hundreds and hundreds of pages of information that we've stored about what we're seeing, okay? It's kind of like, I was thinking about this, that we sometimes, if I saw an ad for a Broadway show, immediately I would think about, wow, I remember seeing The Lion King. It was wonderful. So I have that experience of, wow, okay, in this moment, I'm wow. And then things happen, right? Then our mind goes through the rest of the process, all right? So we know that it's going on, right? Our interpretation is mind created and mind stored for future use. Our mind stores that information for future use. And it gives us our experience of life in this moment. Our emotions are a reaction to our interpretation of what we perceive. If we interpret it as I like it, we get those good feelings, that happiness, that joy, that contentment, that satisfaction. If we interpret it as I don't like it, then they're negative feelings. It's danger, fear, frustration, anger. Okay, the more extensive our interpretation is, the more triggers there are for our emotions. All right. Okay, hold on one second.
That's spirit in the background.
Yes, a 5-month-old puppy does not always know shh, Dad's talking. And if he is, he should be talking to me. All right. So the more extensive a story we have about what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're perceiving, the more triggers there are for our emotions, right? We see the ad for the Lion King, and it's like, wow, okay, I remember that was extraordinary. All right, based on our interpretation or our story about what we perceive, there are a set of actions that are available to us. All right, so we perceive something, we interpret it, and that gives us our choices of actions. All right, it gives us a menu of actions. If we see that ad, right, for the Broadway show, immediately the actions that are there are, I could go to New York, I could go see a Broadway show, I could go to a theater here in Atlanta and see a show, I could, go rent a movie of a Broadway show. Okay, so it gives us a menu of actions of what is available to us to fulfill on that, right? To move that forward. What it doesn't give, you have to notice, it doesn't give, all right, so I could go out to our local pub, right? Or, oh, I could go to the grocery store, or I could go over here, right? It does, so it also limits our menu of action. Some actions don't show up out of the interpretation that we have. So our interpretation both gives us a menu of action and limits that menu of action, what we can and can't do, right? Or not that we can't do it, it's that we wouldn't think of it, right? It's just not on the radar, okay? That's why it's so important to be aware of our interpretations, how we're interpreting what we're perceiving, and that they are just that. It's not the truth, it's a truth. It's our truth because we have interpreted it that way. We've told ourselves a story about it. Given the menu of actions that come from that interpretation, we have choice. We can choose an action. We choose an action, that every action produces a result, and the results of our actions are our circumstances. So if I have that good feeling about, the Broadway show, and I choose, wow, I could go see a Broadway show in New York, and I choose to take the action of getting on a plane and flying to New York, that gives me the circumstances of being in New York to see a Broadway show. That's how we create our life. If we take those actions, we produce results, and our results are our circumstances. So we have choice all the way through our process to create our circumstances. We can consciously create our circumstances by choosing either at the very beginning of the process, what we perceive. The way our choice looks there is by choosing our environment. Choose where you are. If I'm sitting in Atlanta in a house, I have a certain set of circumstances. I've got a certain things that I will see and hear and do, right? Like there's my environment gives me what is available to be perceived. So I can choose my environment to give me the perceptions that I want to have. If I want peace and quiet, I'll go sit on the deck outside. If I want, loud, energetic, I'll go downtown, right? So that we can choose our environment based on the perceptions we want to have. When the next step of the interpretation, we can actually consciously choose the way we interpret what we see, hear, feel. So that if I see a blue glass, I can start saying to myself, wow, usually I say blue is my favorite color, so that's a water glass, right? Because I have blue water glasses. Or I can consciously choose another story about that and say, wow, okay, so I have blue glasses and I would like to try some different ones. I want to see how it would be different. I want to see how life would alter if I was using a clear glass rather than a blue glass. No matter where we are, we can start choosing the story we tell ourselves, the interpretation of what we're perceiving. I see somebody walking down the street with a dog. I can either say, wow, they don't have them on a leash, they're dangerous, they're da-da-da-da. Or I can tell myself, wow, they don't have the dog on a leash. That must be a really well-trained dog.
Huge.
Tell myself a different story. It starts giving me a different set of actions because our interpretation gives me a set of actions to take. So if I see that person walking down the street with the dog off the leash, and I use the interpretation of, oh, how dangerous. Notice it's a negative interpretation. I'm going to have the actions of reporting them, of going out and yelling at them, of going right? It's going to give me a set of actions, which gives me results, that gives me my life, gives me my circumstances. Or I can choose, wow, how well trained that dog is, and I have a different set of actions available to me. I can go out and congratulate them and ask them, how did you train that dog so well to be able to be off the leash? I can, go, and that would give a friendly interaction, right? I can sit here and just be, not have to interact at all, and I'll be free to keep on going with my day. However we interpret those however we interpret it gives us our set of actions, and
right.
we can.
And with those two different choices means the results from that are radically different.
Exactly. And that's where your life shifts. That's where you get to start consciously creating your life based on what circumstances you want. Yes. You choose the actions to be able to, that are most likely to produce the results you want. And those results are those circumstances. So if you want to look and see, how life is going, look at your circumstances, and we have to get that we created the life we're living by the actions we took or didn't take. And those actions came from our interpretations of what we perceived.
Right.
We can choose. We have that opportunity to choose at the very first. We choose what we perceive, what's available to be perceived. We choose how we interpret. We choose which actions to take. And that gives us the results that we have, our circumstances.
Absolutely. Most people, and I'm speaking through me here, think that it's outside circumstances that are causing their life to be the way it is. And once we take that ownership back and the responsibility to say, no, it's my thoughts that are creating my actions, that are creating my life. It's huge, because now if you had to rely on everybody else to change to make your world the way you want it to be, that would be impossible. But when you know that you can take charge of changing the way your life is supposed to be, it's empowering. You could do something about it. And I challenge everyone. Now, I don't know about you guys out there, but I would have to listen to this a few times, take notes on it. I still always take notes when I listen to Means, so I could go back and really think about what Means said. And I challenge you to, throughout the course of this week, to be aware of your thoughts, be aware of them, and what story, like Means said, are you telling yourself around those thoughts? And is that story bringing you to the place that you want to be in life? Because you can just change your story, right? Means we can just change our story, which changes our life.
Which just happens also to be our topic for next week is choose your story, choose your life.
Oh my gosh. All right. I didn't even realize that, guys.
So we're going to, so we'll be, like these conversations are designed to build on each other, are designed to build so that we can actually, implement what we're doing. So if you have questions, if you have comments, put your questions and comments in, and we can bring those, we can bring those into the conversation next week or in future sessions. So go ahead and put your comments in. Make sure you say hi so that we know you were there. And all right, that's our little signal that we're supposed to we've hit our 15 minutes. So,
so we will go, stay aware, create the story that you want to create the extraordinary life that you want and are so deserving of.
Yes, the magic happens.
Love you guys.
All right. Bye, everybody.